everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation, along with
CJ Lou from the Fired Up with CJ show.
Woohoo!
Woo!
If you've ever wanted more peace in your life, even during foundation rocking times, can see it coming, CJ, then do we have the show for you. Today we'll talk about finding more peace, being the peace, and experiencing peace even when it's not around. That plus we'll talk about fuel tanks being full, bikes gone bad, Maya in action, third eye navigation, hopefully not of that bicycle, the power of packing, and the end of silver as we know it. So welcome back to the show, CJ. Are you ready to shine?
I am ready to shine. How about you? Are you ready to shine?
I am always ready to shine, even when I'm hiding under the covers. Which I guess at those times means I'm not very ready to shine. But you know, lately, thanks to one of our participants in our group coaching class who was talking about her big theme right now being a theme of self-love. I've really gone to, and she talked about her habit of cranking up the self-love first thing in the morning. I've been focusing on that myself each morning as I get up, because I must admit, when I say fuel tank being full right now, things that I wasn't so sensitive to before the move, I find I'm incredibly sensitive to now. And Jessica and I maybe will be talking about it in an interview in the next few days, but a lot of the grooves in the record that had been somewhat filled in the past from negative wiring, they try to regroove themselves during periods of high stress. And so I can wake up in the morning having a holy crap moment, and all I've done is open my eyes. And so I'm going back to that place of I love myself. I'm a great person. I'm going to do this. Not the egoic, oh, you're a cool dude, but just going to that self-love first thing in the morning and listing things out if I need to help me bring peace into my day, or to help me to shine bright. I think that's where we were going with things. When the day is just starting.
I think that's excellent. I love how it's like, how can you feel peace even when everything around you is not peaceful? And it's interesting that you've had the same theme this week as last week, and how in the midst of this, of moving, there's nothing more chaotic than moving, I think. In the midst of this chaos, how you're trying all sorts of different things, right? And I love the self-love. So how's the self-love working?
The self-love is working great. Where I couldn't be doing better, and I have to challenge myself, is I had a rough moment. I think it was last night. It might have been this morning, but I think it was, no, it was, I think it was yesterday morning. And there was an interview. I wasn't sure how it was going to go, and I wasn't entirely comfortable with it. And so my ego is going, yeah, da, 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 ha ha.
Why? What is the ha-ha? Why would your ego go ha-ha? It seems like your ego would be like, oh no, I've got to do blah, blah,
because
blah.
the ego is perfectly happy to pull out the gun and shoot you in the foot and say, I told you so.
Oh, okay. So you had reservations beforehand. Then during the interview, they're all manifesting.
No, before the interview. The interview went great. And oftentimes that happens. It's not often that I'm real nervous before an interview. But if I get very nervous, I'm going, I don't know if I should be doing this. I don't know how it's going to go. I was like, whoa, take it down 1,000. With the move added on top of it, and my days have been going now back to 11 o'clock at night as I'm trying to get everything done, there's a level of full-edness again. That seems to be a theme here today. And so Jessica yesterday was, go to your emotion code. And I'm like, no time.
I love how she's saying it in an emergency way. She need to goes to her emotion code then too.
And then she's like, go to your automatic writing. And she was right. And that would have been the perfect place to go, and to do that as a practice. And I'm like, I can't right now. Total excuse. Total excuse. So we have a good little dance with the two of us going on right now, because it is a stressful situation. I think we can actually learn a lot from it if we bring patience to it, and just love and kindness and compassion. We had on a guest earlier today, Leonard Perlmutter, author of The Heart and Science of Yoga. He's the founder of the American Meditation Institute.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing, amazing gentleman. And he was saying that rule number one of this whole game of life is do no harm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I can remember that in this time, not so much that I'm trying to hurt anybody.
Even
I
yourself, I
would,
think it's self-love, right? Don't
you're
harm
right.
yourself.
Anything that you're thinking, is this a harmful thought? Can I cut this off? Is what I'm saying, even though I mean it in a good way, is this something that is reactionary and therefore could cause harm? I think if I can get to that question of will this cause harm, or is this violating rule number one, that could really help when during a stressful time. It's easy to say things back because you're like you know, your eyeballs are clanging into each other.
Wow. Okay. So it sounds like you guys, and isn't it fascinating that it's when it gets the busiest that you throw off all the things in your plate. In fact, that would be that most helpful for you. For me, I've been super, as you saw my Facebook post where I showed you the back of my yard. It's crazy.
The wrecking ball, so to speak. The bulldozer.
It's crazy. If I right now they actually are laying the foundation, so it feels like okay, that's hopeful, and it's
Grounded.
actually interesting. Yeah, it's more grounding that they're pouring in. And on Monday there's just going to be a gigantic cement truck like making lots of noise and pouring in concrete into our foundation. So
Your kids are still around.
my kids are still
So
around.
can you get the four of you to do a handprint?
I don't know. That's a great idea. We did our prints are all over the house because we poured concrete in our basement, so we put our handprints there. So we're going to probably put some handprints. I don't know when because I don't know when it completely gets frozen up, but we'll try because that would be fun.
Split.
Yeah. So that would be fun if we were able to do that. So, um, yeah.
It's such a good learning though. So it's an emotional time, and while I'm nice and calm and collected on the air, it's still an emotional time.
Yeah.
But I think both Jessica and I are in a place that we can step back and actually over time use it as a place of great healing for ourselves so that the unmooring, the unsettling that points out areas that we get to work on or scar tissue that still gets to be healed, we can work on rather than adding to it from this time. So I see some huge benefits of it, even if like I can see the monkey swinging from the rafters, the trapeze is right now.
Yeah, I think that remember last summer when I had 4 jobs and you're like, I don't know what CJ is
How can I
doing.
forget that?
You're like, I'm not sure what she's doing. In fact, if you had said, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not really sure either. I know it sounds insane, but the thing that it did is almost with the extreme duress of having that many things on the plate, like all the things that you're talking about, like any little weak points that you have in your foundation will come bursting out. So for me, it was forgetting that it's about people and task. I'm very task driven. And so I would forget, like, oh, actually, there are people that are doing these tasks with you or yourself. And I would lose all concept of anything but the task. And so it was interesting when under duress that kind of like it got popped up to heal, like you were saying, that's a healing opportunity that got popped up to heal. Now for me, I'm going through like yourself all sorts of different transitions, and in every single form I've for whatever reason my body has decided to go through menopause right now, like it's in full swing.
Wow.
So I'm going, so my body, and it's actually interesting because as for what menopause is on some high level conceptual level is that you're no like it's moving from family. I'm no longer going to be able to have children. It's like that part of my life is ending.
Talk about the timing
I
of
know,
that.
and
Wild.
my body, it's like that's over. Like everything is ending that chapter of your life. I still have my son Caden, who's going to be here for the next 2 years, but it's like that. You see the close, the door closing on that chapter of my life. And so, yeah, it's like that. And then, my kids leaving and then like just things breaking down, like my bike break, it's like everything, our house getting torn apart and rebuilding. It's all about similar, but sometimes you need to have that. I think in order for you to really learn the lesson, I think I could have dealt with any one of these things pretty well, but all four of these things, it really is pressing the fear of the unknown. I don't know what's happening. When I can need to control everything and like going through it in a different level. Like I'm not perfect, but I have moments where I'm not so bad. Frankly. Or I have enlightened moments throughout the whole time. Do you have that too, where it's like, okay, there are moments where I have fallen, and that's a healing opportunity, and there are moments where I'm like, I'm actually pretty proud of myself that I'm navigating through this kind of this extreme chaos,
I think
in
a
a more
lot.
spiritual way.
I think a lot of it for me is awareness that I'm bringing to it. So even if I see, wow, you're really attached to X, Y, or Z, that's crazy. I'm actually able to at least see that now.
Yes.
And so there's a lot more of the infinite observer going on, which doesn't mean that my wiring hasn't been like trying to finish sentences and put things in a negative and go, whoa. But I'm at least able to catch that, if not in the moment, then right afterwards. And so there's a part of me, please forgive me, but there's a part of me that hears your different things going on right now and wants to say congratulations.
Yeah, no,
It's
I think,
much
yeah.
easier to say it in somebody else.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's great. It's so good for you to go through that, Michael. No, no, no,
Snap
no, but
back.
I think from a different frame of mind, it is a congratulations because it's like it's your final exam. You've been
Yeah.
what's all this studying
Well,
for?
maybe we should call this midterms then.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not going to take a file, no, this is final exam hour. It doesn't feel like a midterm. Does it feel like a midterm to you?
Well, I want to call it a midterm as far as the length of our lives.
I'm just talking about the severity of like, or
The
the
severe well,
intensity.
I went to Colorado College, and one of the cool things, and it was so great for my ADD squirrel on crack mind, is it was a class every 3.5 weeks, and then you'd have
What?
midterms 2 weeks in,
Wait.
finals 3.5 weeks in, and then you'd have 4.5 days off to come back to being human again
Wow.
before you go one class at a time. Incredibly intense. But yeah, you
Interesting.
got finals often. And so it does really feel like and it's happening fast. With a move, things start to become as real in the Whole Foods parking lot. They're
Right.
becoming really real very quickly.
Yeah, it's like when you do prepping for your finals and you're going through and maybe you're doing flashcards or you're doing something you're like, I still haven't gotten that concept. So you have to go back and like reread the section and kind of like, okay, I get it. And then you hope that when in the final exam that you will be able to like ace that part of the exam. So I guess that's what we're going through now. Like we've done a lot of reading, the two of us, right? We've done lot of reading. We have like day in, day out tests, like someone cuts you off in traffic or, the line in the supermarket is getting super long or someone pisses you off, something like that. Those are like, little homework assignments. And now you're putting it all together in a super stressful event and see what happens when your tanks are really full. What is kind of, where is the leak coming from and how do you fill it? And then I think the thing that's so great is that, and what I'm missing is self love. So even when you do, you're like, wow, yeah, my tank was full, it's empty now, and it took an hour. First thing in the morning, it was empty. To like give yourself love and say, it's okay. This is how you learn. You have to keep on practicing over and over and over and over again, right? So the next day, your tank is probably not going to be as empty, right? Because you practiced that day and you saw what went wrong. I interviewed
And
someone who, sorry, just real quick. I love this idea. I can't remember the name. Ellen Tad, have you interviewed her yet?
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Very recently. And love, I'm talking about third eye, of course.
Yes. I
Infinite, is it
love that.
infinite wisdom? The infinite view. The infinite view, I believe it is.
Yes. The infinite view. And I don't know
and
if
and
you,
she's one of a lot of authors, and I was mentioning this in Leonard Perlmutter's interview, have great concepts but don't really go that deep. She's a deep diver,
she's totally a
but
deep
she
diver.
makes you think and reframe everything. So I really love her book and her
Yes.
work.
So you probably recall in her book, she had the stay current idea. So it's basically at the end of the day, you kind of review step by step all the things that you've done and say it through your third eye. So from your higher, wiser self and go, what could I have done differently? And or what can I learn from this experience is probably better, because what can I do differently feels like a judgment versus what can I learn from that experience. And so you kind of replay your whole day and figure out what you would have liked to have changed. And what she said that she did, I don't know if you talked about this or read it, because I kind of skimmed the book because I was in a hurry. But she said what she did is, what she does is she replays the event and then pretends that she does it all over again in the way that she'd like to, so that she has a resource. So when that event, if it were to occur again, she has a different way of dealing with it. So I like that idea.
I love that idea, and I think that can help. That's sort of like getting your test back with the F plus.
Right. But you can resubmit it to the teacher and maybe get a higher grade.
Well, you at least get to learn what should I have done, not should, but what's the correct way of answering this problem? Because
Right.
when you get it wrong, and this is when I took was it GMATs or something, whatever it was to get into to grad school many years ago, instead of cracking open the books and learning, I went right to the practice tests online and I gamed it. Practice test after practice test after practice test. And when you get something wrong and then you review it and you see how to do it right, that's where it clicks. That's when you really get it. And so the getting it wrong and then replaying it, quote unquote wrong, because there is no wrong, they're learnings. But that's awesome.
Yeah, I like that idea, because then it's a learning opportunity. She's very calm, level-headed. So but I like that coupled with your idea of giving yourself love. Like, it's okay, you'll get it right the next time, or you'll do it differently the next time. Even getting it right the next time seems like a judgment, right? Versus saying, like, you'll try something different next time. You're learning, and who's to say that that thing that you thought was the wrong way was in fact wrong? You really don't know. It happened, so it happened, and it happened for a reason. You don't even know why it happened. Maybe it was for you. Maybe it was intended for the other person for you to do it the wrong way. Who knows? Okay, so you're
I
feeling...
like that. That's my get out of jail free card. Thank you, CJ.
There's this one woman who, the best phrase ever that I say all the time now, is she said, it's like a do-over where you say, if I were to do that all over again, I'll say this to my kids. When I was yelling at you the other day, if I were to do it all over again, first of all, I'm sorry for yelling at you. And what I would say if I were to do it all over again is, instead of saying this, I would have said this. And here's why. And then because I'm calmer, they can listen to it. And generally because I've calmed down and really thought about it through some higher path, I can give them something rational and loving. But I love the do-over. If I could do it all over again, here's what I would do.
I love
like
that.
that,
I'm writing
yeah.
that down. If I could do it all over again, here's what I would do.
Yeah, because it gives you like, I apologize, right? I know I did it in a way that was not skillful. But if I were to do it all over again, here's a skillful way. Like, I know I hopefully will learn from this experience, and here's what I do differently. So your tank is full. And it's been hard for you to like release that fullness because you feel so busy. What stops you when you're at the like, oh my God, I don't have enough? When Jessica's like, do your tapping or do your whatever. What stops you?
Well, what stops me at those points is the ego is saying you don't have time. You need to stay focused on the task. And so like before today's interview, I wasn't sure where it was going to go. I made sure not to repeat yesterday. I made sure to throw myself outside before the interview, when I never go for a walk that close, like 10, 15 minutes from the interview, I was outside walking. And I did get in a much calmer center place before the interview. But it's interesting. It used to be the case with food, and we used to have because I was Mr. Blood Sugar Crasher. And so we came up with a rule, which I did still violate on occasion, but I got better at over time, which is if she said you need to eat, Michael, if my blood sugar is low, then my fight or flight response is or I guess was high. And so I'd have been like, no, I don't need to eat.
Right.
And so the rule became, if she says you need to eat, you just need to eat. And so it may be that I need to practice that rule when
she says go do your emotional thing, freedom tapping or whatever, just do it.
Just do it. Just absolutely do it. So in the moment, though, I wasn't able to do it, but I was able to step back a little bit later and at least put that pause in there. In the moment, I was busy with the fire hose running up the stairs to the fire, so to speak, and to say, stop and tap. Like, what?
I'm only laughing because I'm right there with you. Because we had talked, and frankly, it was so comforting to hear when I said, "Oh yeah, my meditations have been awful." You're like, "Me too," and you know what? There's there's something comforting to know that you're not alone. You know, during these times when you're under extreme duress, it's interesting how all these things fall off the table. And yesterday, I had why I did this, I don't even know, but I had an interview from 7:42 in the morning till 11:30. And I did one interview after another and after another and after, because this person had a series of promotional videos that she wanted to do, and we're doing a trade, and it's been so hard to get to meet up with her, mostly because my schedule is really full. So I thought, no, I want to just do this because I feel bad. I've prolonged long enough. So we had like that many hours. As you know, that's a lot of interviewing, right? And it was just
That would smoke my brain.
back to back to back to back. And at a certain point, I was like, okay, I need to take a break. And so I said, can you just give me a 10-minute break? And I intended to go outside and take a walk, taking your cue and like going out to nature. And I just thought, by the time I get my shoes on, well, I don't have enough time to do this because I need to also get changed. Because I thought, I should really get changed because I'm wearing the same shirt, and it's gonna, like, when you look at the series of videos, you're gonna think they're all the same, even though they're different just by what people are wearing. So I went up and changed my shirt.
I call this the just one more thing.
It was it was the just one more thing, and I thought, okay, you need to get your energy together because I was just like you've told me before, like if CJ, I don't even want to interview when you're like that, and I was in the like completely slogged out, and then I went up because that's a lot of interviewing, right? So then I went up and I got the healing forks, tuning forks. It's like boing, and I was like. Crown chakra. And you know what? It took 3 minutes, right? Because at that point, here's the thing in your mind, you're like, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time. But if I just literally, it took 3 minutes and it got way, way better. See, for me, tapping, it's like you have to think like, oh, what's the set of phrase? So I think for whatever reason, to me, even though tapping literally takes 3 minutes too, for me, conceptually, it feels like it takes longer. So, and it's a little bit less mindless and the boing, that was my tip. But it's exactly the same reason that you have. It's like, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time to do this. Or I've got just one more thing. That's the evil of this whole thing. It's just you get on a roll, and then it's like, no, one more thing. No more. I got to do it. So anyhow, I had the same thing, and it's interesting how we squeeze out the thing that we need absolutely the most. But that was my compromise, and that's my recommendation for you.
Go with the tuning fork.
It gave me a quick fix immediately, and I did feel calmer. And you will not believe, after 11:30, I did another interview from 2 to 3 with Ellen Tad. I mean, I did so many. I was just out yesterday. I was just completely gone.
Wow.
How many interviews have you? What's the most interviews that you do in a day?
Everything to me is a power block.
Yeah.
So I consider an interview a power block of time, and because it's a powerful point of focus. So I put coaching sessions in the same vein that I do interviews. To me, it takes the same amount of attention or focus. The most interviews per se I've done is 3. The most power blocks in a day is 6. Wow. I am squealing at 6. I'm uncomfortable at 5. I'm fairly comfortable at 4. 4 tends to be my daily routine. But when it gets into the 5s, I realize I'm pulling out of the tank and I'm not replenishing enough.
Yeah, that's a lot. 5 is a lot.
And then 6s have been, I don't think so much this week, but I think it was maybe a residual from last week, plus some power focus time for the moving. Last week was 6s back to back to back to back to back. And by the end of it, I'm waving the white flag.
Yeah.
And really needing to go quiet and recharge the tanks. And that's been my biggest thing lately is please let me just get to a place of non-thought, even for a few minutes right now, of just, I'm laying down on the floor, I'm in my chair, I'm wherever, just sort of like you finish a car drive and just let me sit holding the wheel
Right.
for a few
Yeah.
minutes
Yeah.
and
To
not
just
need
have
to be anywhere.
emptiness. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's building in mental space. It's less the physical space, but it's probably physically you're kind of depleting yourself too. Because I just had someone who, their new theory is that when you get on to, this is a dowser, a very talented dowser. And he said, I've done this research, and I think when people go on plane rides, they get full of aerotoxins, and it's really bad. And I'm dowsing you because I said, and he said, so tell me when you're going on an airplane so I can douse you and see what's happening. So I went on 2 plane trips over the last 4 weeks. And so I said, okay, and I'm going on another one next week. So I'm doing a lot of airplane flying just to be a good subject for him. And he said, you know what? I had the hardest time actually dousing you to clear out the aerotoxins because it's almost like your body needs to recover because if it's constantly taxing yourself out. And I'm now realizing that through this conversation and as I was thinking before that I think I'm stressed out so much and I've been gaining weight and I can't stop. I can't lose the weight. Usually I gain the weight and I'm like, oh, I eat well and then it's gone, right? But now I'm like, I cannot lose the weight. And I think once your body hits a stress point, it's really, really hard to lose the weight.
It's been interesting because I look like a twig right now, but
Right.
in my twiggedness, I actually have a small spare tire going on right now. And it's interesting. First, it was in the front, which I'm going, oh gosh, that's the I can't remember the name for the fat that you really don't want.
Yeah, that right on your belly fat. Yep.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it's called.
That is related to heart attacks.
Yeah,
and
my belly fat says hello to yours. I have that same thing going on right now.
Is it visceral fat?
Yes, it's visceral fat.
And so I've been doing visualization of not having it there. And so yesterday I was going to the trails. I had my shirt off, and I'm like, what the? And it had migrated to my back, in the same place. And Jessica's like, I think you need to be more specific.
No, you're saying it went away in the front. No, you mean it went away from the front and it went in the back?
Yep. The power of visualization, everyone.
I may need a couple minutes to just recover. All right, that's hilarious. I'm sorry.
Oh, she was pretending to be on a flight attendant saying, "Do not panic. Move to the back of the plane." They all listened and moved to the back. But I'm realizing I have to let go of the need for my body to be perfect, whatever that means. I don't even shoot for perfection, but to be whatever right now, be okay with that. I go into the gym lately and I'm just fairly full, and they're playing well, some of the songs are really nice, but often the songs are the heavy metal, pray for peace but hope for war or something song. And I'm like, within 10 minutes, I'm like, that's it. I'm out of here again. I just can't do it right now.
For me, it's those kind of songs. It's all like watching horror movies, listening to that type of music, and I don't know. I think you may be younger than me, so you may not have heard of the Smiths. Do you remember the Smiths?
Of course.
Okay, and I was like, oh my gosh, just slash your wrist already! Like this is just so painful. It's like I just remember listening to the Smith songs. I'm like, I'm sorry, because I'd go into my friend's college room and they were like, it's like. The songs would be like, oh, why can't anyone love me? Why? It's just like, oh, God, just stop listening to that.
I can't say I was any better. I used to train to Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit, and be like wanting to tear the bicycle in two with angst or something that I was getting out of the music.
Well, it's my hometown for you.
There you go.
Okay, so this is completely random and off topic, but I will tell you it is somewhat related of pushing yourself to the edge. So I was in the airplane and I had really really bad allergies, and so I took an allergy pill because I was like I'm on this like red eye flight going to the East Coast, and it's a very few flights. The cheapest ones are red eye, so I took a red eye with my family, and then um, I thought, well, I should take an Ambien because I want to sleep on this plane so I can get
Oh
up
no.
and do stuff. So I took an Ambien, which I don't think I don't take Ambien, so I don't really know what the recommendations are. But thing is, you're not supposed to take those two together, which I didn't know. But I was awake, so there's nothing worse than taking an Ambien because you have this like drug-induced sleeping that's not even happening. And then I thought, oh, this is just awful. I cannot sleep. I cannot breathe that well. I'm going to go to the bathroom. And I walked up to the bathroom and then proceeded to pass out in front of the bathroom
I don't
stalls.
know if it's better to that or if you had been in the bathroom.
It was so, if you can think of a more disgusting place, I just literally passed
Oh,
out
in front of the
in
bathroom.
front
Oh,
of the
gotcha.
bath. With the little slides and everyone kind of like, excuse me, and you go out of it's like in front of that
Did
where
somebody
like
catch you?
I just fell down. And then before I know it, like I see this big oxygen mask on my face.
So you didn't even get the pleasure of a delightful sleep. They
No,
interrupted you with the oxygen mask.
it wasn't even sleep. I was just so, I don't know, my body was overwhelmed because I was feeling like I think I have to throw up taking these two meds, which I didn't realize until after the trip. I'm like, oh, I should have taken those two meds together. But I put so I'm like breathing, and then finally I was like, okay, I gotta go sit down. But actually the oxygen was miraculous. It really did help. And then I sat down, and then we like just went along a normal day. And then later in the morning, we were in Georgetown, and I said, "Oh yeah, I should tell you that I passed out in front of the bathroom." My husband's like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, I just passed out." He's like, "Why wouldn't you tell me any of this stuff?" And I said, "Because I just didn't want to bother you. You're sleeping, and like, what were you going to do anyways? Like, there wasn't anything you could do about it. It was just I passed out." He's like, "You should tell me about those things." But I think that I mean, that's an example of extreme duress, and then you kind of like march on like a little soldier as if nothing happened. And it's not good. That's what
No,
you shouldn't do.
it's interesting because I had jotted a note earlier back to health because my runs have been shorter. My gym time has been shorter. My knees actually got sore after moving a bunch of stuff last week. And I realized it's not actually the move so much that got my knees sore. Its knees represent foundation. And the
Ah.
foundation is being completely shaken or removed at this time. So, of course, your knees could get sore, your back could get sore. It's coming out in you different thing in different ways, but it always comes out in the body. And so it's signed to be extra kind and gentle to yourself
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
during this time.
Yeah. Have you been getting enough sleep? Probably not,
Enough
right?
sleep, yes,
Oh, good.
but it's coming later, which means my next day starts off with a little bit less of the self-care. Uh,
Mm.
Usually I'm up in that 4 to 5 range. This morning was a whopping 7:50,
Oh,
which is
wow.
like completely unheard of because I woke up around 6 and I did a body check and I'm like throat sore. I'm like, all right, ain't getting up yet.
Go to
I
sleep.
went
Yeah. That's
and went
smart, though.
back because I know if my tank is full and I've got a lot on the plate, there's a lot coming up. I will not be able to think creatively. I will not be able to respond to people in any way, shape, or form with any sort of patience. Take the hit for the rest of your day. Get the sleep in now, and that's what I've been doing. So guarding that. The great news is that unlike the challenges you've been having, I have relatively easily been able to get to sleep.
Yeah.
So in fact, Jessica was having me do try something last week to get into lucid dreaming of focusing when you're going to sleep on feeling yourself going to sleep and trying to be present with that. And so for a few days during this move, I said, go to bed and I go, okay, I'm going to be present oh, it's morning.
I've actually been sleeping really well, shockingly. I mean, that whole passing out in DC was a couple years ago, but yeah, I think that I actually have been sleeping so soundly that on Monday I woke up, on Tuesday morning I woke up and I was like, what day is it? Like I had literally no idea if it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I had no clue whatsoever. It's almost like someone like drugged me, put me in some bed that I didn't know, and I woke up. I'm like, what's happening? So luckily the sleep has been good, but I think it's my body really needs to rest because I think your body is going through a lot. I think your mind can keep on pushing one more thing, one more thing, one more thing, but I wonder what's happening to our bodies, during that time.
Yeah, I'm going to go out probably for a bike ride instead of a run from a time perspective this afternoon. Although who knows? But I know whatever I do, it'll probably be a ride. I'm going to just go da di da di da di da at a total, grandmama with her walker passes me. I'm on the bike. She's got her walker. Just to take it easy, be outside, but with absolutely no push right now. Total self-respect for myself and letting the systems reboot.
That's a good idea. I think maybe I need to do a little bit of the same thing. I think the universe is giving me those messages like flat tire. Um,
That's a good
sometimes.
one.
You know what I mean? Like the universe is trying to tell me, like, okay, padlock not working. Like I just have had, like, I woke up to like things not working, which I think means like, yeah, physical things not working. And also the insight finally, and I'm like, wait, maybe I'm gaining weight because I'm just not treating my body really well. Like I haven't gotten enough rest. There's too much cortisol in the system. It's like holding on to fat. It thinks it's actually in a fight or flight situation. So
Bingo.
calm down. And doing all those shows yesterday, probably not that smart to do that in the midst
I
of
get some
everything.
rest this weekend.
Yeah, I think that that's really good.
And I'll challenge you. I've got to do this weekend, which is I haven't been good. I'm not eating bad foods, whatever that means, but it's a very clean diet. But I haven't taken the time to really prepare foods for myself,
Me neither.
and I get to do that because if not, things like oatmeal will only carry you so far.
Yes, you can only eat so much oatmeal, which I've also found with Greek yogurt. This is the other item that it's the equivalent. It's like the equivalent of oatmeal for me. All right, so I have to tell you about my Maya in action. So Maya
You got
is
it.
delusion. So I realized that I was talking to someone, and I came to the recognition that, and which got reinforced today, that I was thinking about my past, like all the, when you have babies, all the way to the point when you're like menopause and can't have children anymore, like literally an aspect of your womanhood is ending, like all this stuff. I have these really fond memories, and what's so interesting is there's like puppy dogs, unicorns, and rainbows in this whole like life, past life of, raising kids all the way from 0 to now 18. And then what's interesting is this future life is like clouds and thunderstorms. And I thought,
Why?
wow, why is that? I mean, it's not that I'm conscious, but as I was like zooming up and I realized that I have this like thunderstorm of ideas, and I was like, wait a second, where did that come from? And oh, God bless you.
Speaking about raising up,
It is. So I think that are you okay? Oh, it's making you sneeze.
I never sneeze on air. You said raising up, and all of a sudden
That was it?
there's a sneeze raising up inside of me.
Okay, it's 43, around 43:13 to 43:22.
I've got it on my end.
Okay. Okay, so hold on.
Save people's ears.
Yeah, so what was I even saying? I don't even remember. What was I saying? So, oh yeah, so I was looking at it and like, so what was interesting as I was seeing that as like sunny and I was seeing this as clouds, and neither of those are both delusional, right? Because as I was reminded this morning when this guy had a newborn, he's like, I woke up at 2 and then woke up at 5, and I have only had 3 hours of sleep over the last 3 days or something. I can't remember, like a really long period of time. And I thought, oh yeah, that's not puppy dogs and unicorns. Like, and I went through that, but it's interesting how we recolor everything so that it's not really aligned to what really is happening. It's basically just our emotional state and what we kind of. So I just think that it's so interesting how our minds have the ability to repaint everything so quickly, even though like it wasn't, I mean, 18 years ago when I was actually like struggling to, like wake up and have more than 4 hours of sleep every night for like, I don't know, 6 months or so. I mean, I've completely like painted that over with a little smiley face. I find that the mind is fascinating because I think a lot of us do that, right? We like have these reminiscent visions of the past as if they're really wonderful, and they're up and down, just like they are presently. So that was my insight about how I just more of an insight, and just it's like you're saying, an awareness of what the mind does, and to be aware that the mind is doing that. I think is fascinating. So that's mine.
That I like it, so that maybe in the present, when things are up and down because of the mind, you can go, hey, wait a minute. I know you're going to sell me on a bill of goods that everything was perfect now, even though you're going to torture me now. So why can't I drop it?
Right. Yeah. The third eye navigation that Ellen Tad, both of us talked about, I've been trying that, and that works really well. I'm going to try doing that more and more often if I can remember to do it. Have you been trying it?
I've been using it. What was I using it for yesterday? I was going into a third eye place to understand something, and it was really helpful.
Yeah.
So I found that very, very powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. She she talks about it as like using the each of the chakras in its appropriate form, and that the third eye is all about wisdom, right? And spiritual wisdom. So if you can actually couple it with heart wisdom, with emotional wisdom, that you'll get a better answer in actually creating partnerships between the third eye and the heart. The third eye and the gut is a stronger solution. So I'm going to be trying that out because I think that she also says that when I was thinking about the thing that you mentioned, she had talked about something like when she rushes when she's moving from being rushed to being in rhythm. I don't know if you remember reading that part of the book, that she said, what I try to do is I see if I'm pulling forward or if I'm holding back, and I'm trying to get in that place where I'm not doing either. And and she said something, I can't remember what the exact words, but like time, I have the eternity to get this done, or I have like life, or time is eternal, or something like that. And that little code word kind of like, oh, okay, time is eternal. So it kind of pulls you back from like, I need like one more thing. I got, instead of that, you go, time is eternal. Or it's like, it's like, so you're just at that sweet spot of being at ease while you're doing things. And I like that idea. So I'm going to try that during my current chaos.
I like that. That's like a big picture, meta perspective that when you're thinking this has to be taken care of now, or they're going to tear down the garage.
Yeah,
well, actually they did, but
yeah. Yeah, but it's like this moving forward, it's kind of like, oh no, and another thing, and it's like your body is kind of moving forward, or kind of like, I don't know, I can't do that, I'm not sure I'm going to, and then that's like your body like pulling back versus just being present and responsive versus reactive, right? They're just two different reactions to the same kind of situation, I think.
And it goes along today's theme. If you can remember, time is eternal. It brings a lot more peace to your situation because there's no immediacy that if I don't take care of it now, this second, everything's going to blow apart.
Exactly. So I don't know. I'm going to try that. Like time is eternal. Because if I look at the one thing that stops me from taking a break, it's I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. I don't have time to meditate. But really, if time is eternal, like, of course I have time to meditate. So I'm going to try. I'm going to go back and listen to exactly what you said. But I think it's that even like time is eternal is kind of like, that's probably enough. I can come up with my own phrase. But that just saying the mantra, like some mantra at that time. The other thing that's been helpful for me, because my snap-to place when I get stressed is I think of everything as tasks, and I forget that there are actually people behind these tasks and like relationships that I have to hold dear. And so the other thing she says as a kind of her mantra is I'm spiritual, everybody is spiritual, or everyone is spiritual. And that's actually helped a lot. So I'm in traffic and I'm like, gosh darn it, like, and then I'm like, oh, everyone is spiritual. They're having their spiritual path. Their spirit, I'm spirit. What are you getting so upset about them cutting you off? So I'm trying those things and they seem to work. So at least, it's like a Band-Aid maybe. If it works at this juncture, just keep on using it. So that's my path, at least right now. Or are there other things that are helping you aside from the self-love that are helpful for you?
I always go back to the breath. That's a biggie for me. Can I get just a couple breaths in? That can be helpful. Can I throw myself outside for even a few minutes? That's another obviously go-to one for me. Look at what the foods I'm eating right now, even though my diet hasn't been perfect, make sure stay away from things like sugar, for instance, because that'll bring me up and take me down. Recently, Jessica made some mookies with some new dark chocolate chips that she got in that had, because they were so rich, they had more caffeine in it. And my body said, no stimulants during this time. Don't even think about it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So been watching that and just reveling in the moments that I do catch myself.
Yes.
That, okay, if you go a little bit wonky, what can we do to bring that back? You're having troubles with Jessica right now. What can you do to learn from that experience? And I think that actually gives me a big picture perspective that this actually, rather than the word would be judgment, not coming from a place of judgment. Don't get down on myself for getting down.
Right. Yeah,
and
that's
if I do that becomes the hugest learning for me. In fact, that's one that I've been working with a lot of coaching clients recently, which is I tell my coaching clients, you don't have any right to judge yourself. We shouldn't judge anybody, but with that said, you have no right to judge yourself because you're right there in your face.
Right.
And if you're right there, you have no perspective outside of yourself to have a clue what's going on.
That's very good feedback. Very good coaching. Good coaching. Not that there's bad coaching, but I'm just saying that was good. That was good.
Jump off the cliff. Jump now. No.
I like it. Okay, so I want to talk to you about the end of Silver as we know her. Who is Silver?
Silver's our Honda that I was talking to you about last week. And so I won't dwell on her too long because I'm sure Jessica and I will talk about her tomorrow. But the decision's been made. She's been, due to situations outside of my control, she's being donated on Monday. And she will not be making the journey with us down to North Carolina. I guess you could say it is a vacuum, a space, an opportunity in the future. But it's been fun just to watch my emotions around it. And,
how long have you had that car for?
Only a couple years, but she was my Freedom Mobile when we got back here. And so she represents a lot. We put meaning on different things. And so she has a lot of meaning. And so I get to rewrite the meaning for the next phase of our lives of what that means that she will be going on.
Bye, Silver.
I know. It sounds so silly, and we had this whole show, so I won't go too much into it. We had this whole show earlier this week, I guess it'll be a week apart when they air, about me thinking about other vehicles and what to do, and maybe I'll go there with Jessica, because we'll be recording something tomorrow. But it's just interesting to watch the wiggly worm mind, what it wants to grab onto on this point. I got a lot of packing to do. I got a lot of stuff that gets to get done. Why in the world would I even worry about something like that now when there are much bigger things to take care of?
Right.
But the mind even went this morning like, oh, what are you going to get? Jessica wants some walkie-talkies for having the truck and the other car. And are you getting the right? And I'm like, wait a second. Is the mind just jump from being worried about the Honda Accord to being worried about the show to being worried about a $30 pair of Stop it. Just stop it.
It's a question, does it do it? Yes, absolutely it does it. I can tell you that. pretty much. Because I'm
It
like,
was
stop
like
thinking about
looking
that.
for something. It was looking
It
for a
is.
fight.
It's like looking for, it's like ferreting around trying to find something. Because I had the same thing. I'm like, really? Why are you thinking about this now? This is not helpful. This is your only, you're making the time right now and you're on the floor trying to relax. Stop thinking about blah. And then I'd stop thinking about blah. And then like some other stupid thing would come up. And it's like, oh my God, why are you thinking? And then I'm like, okay. And then sometimes I go, okay, I'm done. I just get up because I can't take it anymore. Today I was doing a meditation, an insight meditation, and for whatever reason, the little gong at the end didn't go. So I was just lying on the floor going, wow, this 17-minute meditation feels like so much longer. Because I had been like 40 minutes and I was just like,
Well, that was very
yeah,
patient.
and I was saying something like, "Oh Mani Padma." I was doing a chant like "Oh Mani Padma," and I'm like, oh Mani, what time is it?" I'm like, God, I've got to be done with this.
I used to
So
lead meditations at the Shambhala Center a long time ago, and I would imagine I got pretty good at knowing time in my head. But if something like that had happened and there was no cue for me, I imagine at some point I would have been like whipping out my arm
like,
in
what
front of
time
everybody.
is it? I'm like, oh my God. So it's so fun to actually one be in community with you too, because I feel like Jessica's always here with us, even when she's not physically here. But it's great to actually be in a community of people. I mean, because we're all human, right? I mean, you can do a spiritual show, and I've read, I don't know how many bajillion books that you and I have read collectively, and life still happens, right? When under duress, all the little idiosyncrasies that haunted you before come back in a different form, right? But presented with more awareness and more tools so that it's not exactly the same as it was before. But, I'm glad to be in community to just hear your journey and laugh because it's funny, right? I mean, this too will pass, but it's actually funny as we're going through our final exams. Do you have any last words?
Pause, 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 pause. And when your mind says, no, no pause, can't pause now, and I'm going to try to take more of my own advice on this,
Yes.
then you doubly need to pause.
Yes, I agree.
For everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler and
CJ Lou.
saying, be well, have fun. If everything's getting to you, pause and go for the music
Yes.
and shine bright.
Woohoo!
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show and love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support, love, and blessings.